Hi, Danish.
Hello. So shall we start?
Yeah, we can
Oh,
start now.
okay.
Over to
So
you.
okay. Thank you so much. So good evening, everyone. So hello, everyone from different parts of the world. My name is Dennis Sarmiento, and I am a procurement and supply chain professional, and also an employee at Consus Global. So it is so great to see many like-minded professionals have gathered for our event, Digitization of Procurement event, in collaboration with Sourcing and Supply Chain and Consus Global. So before we proceed with our main agenda, let me do a quick introduction about today's webinar, especially those who are joining for the first time. So, sourcing and supply chain is an initiative that has been taken by Chirag Calaria, who is also our moderator and founder, where the SSC has created a world-class platform for knowledge sharing, networking, and wants to groom a professional who aspire to advance their career in supply chain, providing themselves a valuable resource for the industry. SSC aims to create an environment involving young professionals like me while focusing on applying best practices across sectors. So, as SSC says, sharing knowledge is the best way of growing. So, SSC also runs a publication who publishes articles and blogs related to our industry. So please feel free to share any of your experiences which has been written and you would like to share to any of us here in the webinars. So you may email Chirag and Rajit for more information, or you can also follow the link shared on the comment box to know more about FSC. And of course, let me introduce to you our company, Consus Global. So Consus Global is a global integrated supply chain advisory and services organization, deploying and implementing global source to pay technology solutions for SME customers with seamless integration with their business systems. We have delivered year-on-year cost savings on direct and indirect expenses across the industry. So we have been rated amongst the top 10 procurement service providers in Asia and was most recently a finalist for the Service Provider of the Year award at Procurement Leaders Asia Pacific Congress. Also, to a recent time in 2020, we are the winner of Procurement Consultancy Award in the Middle East. So, to know more about Consus achievements and work, please follow us on our LinkedIn and our global website. Just visit us on www.consus-global.com. And yeah, I know. So to formally introduce our speaker for tonight, our speaker, Gourish Birajdar, he is the managing partner of technology at Consus Global. So he has prolific experience in the procurement and service industry that extend up to more than 18 years in procurement and automation and helping companies in streamlining processes, e-sourcing, supplier management, source to pay implementations. Not only does he possess extensive industrial exposure, but he also has a good amount of knowledge regarding international markets such as Malaysia, the Philippines, Australia, the Middle East, and the USA. So I know he will incorporate or he will give us more insight for tonight's webinar. So I will request everyone to park all your questions for the later stage because we will be having a question and answer round before we end the sessions. And I know this is a webinar and everyone is on mute, but let us give our speaker a gesture of a big round of applause. So, GB, I'll turn over the control to you. And everyone, listen carefully and park your questions.
Thank you, Dennis. Am I audible? Okay, I'll take that as well. Hi, I'm Gourish. I'll be taking you through the presentation now. So the attempt here is to simplify what understanding on digital procurement and how it can be applied to the procurement processes. So I will start with the presentation now. Back in 2020, nearly 32% of procurement organization had implemented some kind of a digital technology, okay, e-sourcing or something. But after the pandemic, suddenly there is a increase in awareness about digitization of all procurement processes, and that will help basically to manage your entire procurement right from work from home. This is the new normal, right? So you need to adapt to the current changing scenario of business. How do you manage it? And digital procurement is the initiative, the top initiative, wherein it will help you digitize the procurement, manage the entire procurement globally, right? So currently that is a buzzword, and you will be bombarded with terms like robotic automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, source-to-pay technology, smart center, etc., etc. These are the tools basically which will help you better drive better value of the procurement. And here is the attempt to understand and simplify those terms in this presentation, right? So, to put up a definition on digital procurement is simply acts on basically making strategic sourcing more predictive, transactional procurement more automated, and supplier risk management become proactive. So, what exactly it means, I will explain in subsequent slides. Now, we'll start with the 5 levels of process digitization, right? How procurement digitization has transformed during this 5 levels. We'll try to explain it. First is digitalization. It is not digitization, but digitalization. That means creating digital records on the cloud, right? Searchable digital records. Second biggest part is enterprise software ERP implementation, wherein all the procurement, few procurement processes were part of ERP. Third big part, complete sea change, is robotic process automation. That's the most popular tool implemented across globally for digitization journey. Now, if you see big data analysis, and artificial intelligence has also joined the tools to transform procurement. So we will understand every level in detail now. First is digitalization. So here, once you, the objective was to create an online repository. So as a procurement, you deal in a lot of documentation and transactions. It may be your contracts, RFPs, RFQs, vendor documents. The whole attempt is to create an online repository which you can easily retrievable and searchable, right? But did it impact the cumbersome procurement process? The answer was no. The attempt is to basically create a digital records. That's all. Now, the second step, uh, if you talk about digitalization, the tools popularly used was, I think, SharePoint, which is popularly used to store all the digital documents on the cloud and searchable repository. Also, e-sourcing tools, which will help you automate RFPs, RFQ, and e-auctions will be part of that. We will have a detailed case studies on that during this presentation. Again, ERP came into a picture basically when you are trying to incorporate procurement process into enterprise resources. So the main objective was to focus on policy compliance and process adherence. The user experience was a bit painful. They have to go through a painful steps in order to complete any procurement transactions. But it helped us create a digital roadmap or process visibility across the board. Now, currently, recently, last 5 to 6 years, you see a lot of robotic process automation. What robotic process automation is, don't go with the jargon. It is simple rule-based processing and decision making. For example, if you are trying to register a vendor and if he's a IT vendor, you got all the details in the form. Now, a rule can be set up by reading that it is a IT vendor and diverting the workflow or approval flow to a IT person. It is a simple rule that is incorporated in the process now, but it will help you eliminate manual processes and getting involved manually into that vendor registration process. The second example of robotic process automation is PR to PO flip. if you're using ERP, whenever you're creating a PO, you will refer back to a PR, flip that into a purchase order. But you will add certain information, just like what is the price of the item you're sourcing, who is the supplier, what are the payment term, etc. But if you observe that information is a part of a proposal, supplier proposal. Now, these tools nowadays, what they are doing is basically that RFQ is captured online in an e-bidding tool. Now, you can easily, with a click of a button, copy that into a purchase order and shoot a purchase order. So, entire PR to PO process is automated. Again, this is not the jargon is used robotic process automation, but it is simply rule-based decision making, which the tool can learn and simplify the decision making or a guided by. Here, the objective is to simplify the processes and enhance the user experience. Are we complying the process here? Yes. At the back end, we have ensured all these checks and balances into place. And that's why with robotic process automation, you also have a policy compliance, but the more focus is on enhancing the user experience. Now, the next level, once you start digitizing all this procurement, lot of structured data is available. So there is a difference between structured data and unstructured data. So whatever you capture into your ERP is all structured data. And these will help you make analysis based on the historical data, maybe your spend analysis, your category plan will be based on that, your purchasing trends can be found out with the, and this will help you in a greater way plan procurement better way, and it helps you to get involved early in the process. So generally what happens, management doesn't get involved into procurement processes, but if you have a historical data and analysis to support all your big initiatives, then it is really helpful tool to get your management involved early in the process itself. Now the last thing is artificial intelligence. To put a very simple definition of artificial intelligence, it is to analyze unstructured data. Any external data, if you cannot, if you want to analyze it, artificial intelligence will be a great tool. For example, if you want to know the risk profile of a supplier, right? You have internal data while you are conducting transactions with that. But if you also have external data like Dun and Bradstreet's financial ratings, EcoIdea's sustainability rating, and these needs to be interpreted and converted into the ratings or risk ratings so that the buyer can make a decision based on that. And this is where artificial intelligence will help you potentially analyze the unstructured data and simplify the purchases. Again, the focus here is again enhancing on the buyer experience. So we'll go one by one and understand how that is applicable in your practical day-to-day sourcing processes. So these is like a major procurement processes divided into a three bucket: management process, core process, support process. And depending on the data, the decision making you're doing, the impact of this technology varies operation to operation or process to process. You cannot, for example, if you implement a e-sourcing tool, it has the benefit is directly your bottom line savings. That is not directly derived if you implement a good supplier management tool. But with the purchase to pay automation, which is 100% possible, there is a straight away reduction of a sourcing cycle time. So if you observe, wherein there are strategic decisions to be made in the management process, where the whole procurement strategy depends on the vision of the company, the growth anticipated with the external environments, and where your current tool has a very minimal impact. So But in the core processes, 100% you can apply all this digitization tool and get the benefits. Again, the impact may vary depending on your goals and the process. So which are those processes? Category management, source to contract, project management, procure to pay processes, supplier management. And also support processes, as we discussed, basically supply risk management, wherein you are actually collaborating with external tools and getting the supply risk ratings. Catalog and contract management, it helps in a great manner to guided buying. Performance management, if you're not using any kind of a tool, and that will be a great application here. Now we'll move on to the key procurement processes and how digital tools will help you. So we'll go one by one. So the first bucket is digitalization, wherein e-sourcing process. E-sourcing process implementation. This is the most popular process which get digitized across globally. It talks about your RFQ process completely online, negotiation process. You can manage your entire sourcing processes through that, floating a tender, floating an RFI, evaluating supplier, awarding decision. So it has a high impact because e-negotiation tools basically can drive down the savings like anything. The implementation timelines, if you talk about these tools, vary between 2 to 3 weeks. Uh, it doesn't require any integration. Again, these implementation timelines may vary depending on your complexity and business requirements. Second part is supplier information management, wherein you are talking about supplier registration. Generally, that process is managed right now. If you don't have any e-sourcing tool or a portal, then there is a form which is given to the supplier. He fills in that form, gives you all the document. That documents are manually validated, and the process goes on. But here, currently, the tools available in the market can digitize the entire process and get the supplier onboarding timelines really shortened. So you can have a supplier deduplication check online. You can eliminate duplicate supplier as a part of a registration itself. So there's a complete foolproof solutions available. You can manage all the supplier information. Generally, what happens if you don't have a system, you don't have a reference point. So when you want to dig out the information about a supplier, literally it is a time-consuming process. But if you digitize it online, that information is available and retrievable any point of a time. Again, most of the organization do capture all this information at a first time of registration, but they fail if they want to regularly update that information. So these tools help in a great way to manage that process and completely automate that. It again has a high impact. Implementation time. If you're opting for integration, then implementation timeline might slightly extend to 8 to 12 weeks. The third part is supplier performance evaluation. Now, most of the organization, if you observe supplier performance evaluation, generally are conducted just as a part of a process. There is no proactive effort taken into managing that process. Generally, they go for a quantitative data analysis, which is available in the ERP. For example, your rejection percentage, delivery on time, price adherence, etc. And these are the uh, data analyzed only once in a year, and performance rating is given. And mostly that is done just to comply with the procurement processes, not more than that. They don't use that rating into day-to-day procurement. But these currently the tools available in the market give you a tool to have a supplier 360-degree performance evaluation. You can conduct surveys, you can send a questionnaire to the end users, get the ratings, and depending on the maturity of the organization, it can be low to moderate impact. The implementation timelines vary from 2 to 4 weeks. Now, contract management is again a very good digitalization initiative, wherein all contracts can have a repository and automated alerts and notification to the end users. And this can be easily extended not only with the procurement contracts, but non-procurement contracts as well. Because any given of a time, only part procurement contracts are only part of that. After that, there are hundreds of thousands of non-procurement catalog also they need a solution. Here, you can also have a contract workflow integrated, contract redlining. Lot of tools are available depending on your requirement. You can choose that. It has implementation timeline about 8 to 10 weeks. Third, now the next section where we are talking about is robotic process automation, guided buying or catalog procurement. This is a pain point in any organization. Organization tend to consolidate spend and put up a central rate contracts. But to comply with that, with the employees to guide them to procure from that, without a tool, it is a difficult task. Here, these tools can give you a e-commerce like a platform like Amazon or a Flipkart, and only contracted items will be displayed there. So all your end users can go search for whatever they want and put up a order or request based on your processes. Here, actually, you are managing that entire procurement process, stringent procurement process, but the user experience is greatly enhanced. Now, it is no longer raising a requisition by filling up a complicated form, but just to go on an e-commerce site, choose your items, add to cart, and the requisition is ready. Again, high impact process, 8 to 12 weeks is the timelines, and yeah, it may or may not require integration. Second process is PR to PO automation. PR to PO automation, we spoke about it in the first part of the presentation, wherein the entire process can be automated. Your sourcing cycle time for PR to PO cycle time can be reduced up to 50%. Very high impact process or digitization, 12 weeks. And it is on a heavy on an integration side, because you need to integrate a PR from your ERP, take into the tool, and alert the buyers, and buyer then basically flip that into a sourcing event and a purchase order. And once the purchase order is published, again it gets integrated back to your ERP. So the entire process is automated completely with just a click of a button, no manual entries anywhere. Now the third part is post-PO collaboration. Nowadays, if you are seeing that there is increased trend or a demand to have a supplier portal wherein supplier can log in, can access all the purchase order, all the receipt data, invoice data, right? And also can raise order acknowledgement and advance shipping notification. Very high impact process for digitization, 12 to 14 weeks. Again, it is heavy on integration side, because you need to integrate all the purchase orders, receipt data, and invoice. And the third part is invoice management. Currently, if you talk about India, here the invoice managements are outsourced, where with a shared service center, which is manually collecting the invoices, doing the three-way match, and managing the process. But with the RPAs, these processes can be digitized. So if you have a PO data, receipt data, and supplier uploads the invoice data, any gaps will be highlighted to the supplier, alerted to the respective buyers to eliminate that before it goes for a accounting processing. Very high impact, 8 to 12 weeks integration required. Now, apart from that, big data or AI, material and service master management and cleanup, spend analysis. We will talk about it in detail once we go through the case studies, because this is difficult to explain it here. We will try to explain it with the case study. Now, in the next section, I will move on to the case studies for all these three buckets. First, we will start with digitalization. The impact processes are e-sourcing, supplier information management, and contract repository. Now, this is the first case study. We were working with the pharma manufacturer here, and there was a capital expenditure of 1.6 billion. And if you observe, if you are trying to manually manage this kind of a high value spend, then a lot of people get involved, and collaborating that the process gets really stretched to 3 to 6 months or more than that. And the objective was to shorter the sourcing cycle time and generate savings through e-negotiation or e-auction. So we started developing an online format for RFI, supplier evaluation, capturing the bid comparison. So we conducted like vendors evaluated were six. That includes running an extensive RFI, rating them, site visit, also running a 2 rounds of online e-RFP. And after that, only shortlisted suppliers were taken into online negotiations, and the saving generated were 18%. So the whole point is your sourcing cycle time has reduced from 6 months to 2 months, and entire process was transparently managed online. And that's what I was talking about. E-sourcing is the process where the impact on the bottom line can be directly derived by digitalization. Second, it is a contract repository case. Um, Again, it is a global food and beverage company spread across like more than 5 countries. We were talking about procurement and non-procurement contracts. So they were having a huge, like 5,000 plus procurement and non-procurement contracts to manage. And earlier, they didn't had a central repository. If you don't have a central repository, what happens is you tend to maintain your Excel sheet and track your procurement contracts through that. But that leads to delay because you are not acting proactively unless and until it is either it is notified by the end user or the vendor itself that contract is about to expire or it is expired. So the problem was 90% contracts were given extension because they could not negotiate on time, and that's a lost opportunity as well. The objective we started with to create a central repository to automatic basically notification to all the buyers proactively so that they can start negotiation before the contract expires. And target is 0% contract extension. So every contract needs to be negotiated again. So fairly complex implementation wherein the plants were like 10 plants, and every plant has a different contracts to manage, right from procurement contract. They have a contract farming contracts, labor contracts, admin contracts, IT contract, etc. etc. So every contract has a different workflow or approval process. We created successfully the completed the project within 2 months. It is a completely online repository now. Buyers are getting proactive notification before the contract expires. Again, this can be extended to even track the contract consumption also, which we did in the next phase. Now, the third case is basically a supplier master digitization. The problem statement, it was a shipping company in EMEA region. The problem statement was basically the entire supplier registration process was manual. Supplier information is not updated because few suppliers have registered with your organization like 10 years before, and after that, the data has not been updated. Only, I think, no central repository, searchable repository. What happens basically with that, if you, let's say there are 10 suppliers already registered for a IT category, but you're regularly dealing with three categories, you always tend to send inquiry to three categories because you don't have a visibility that there are 10 already qualified registered suppliers in the database, and there's no way to track it. Again, with the manual processes, you have duplicate suppliers in the database. So the objective was central to create a central repository of suppliers, to create a complete online supplier onboarding process and supplier deduplication. So we adopted their current supplier registration form, which is completely now supplier can self-register themselves. They can go through the entire process automated and upload all the documents with the validity. Even documents also have a validity so that the buyer gets a notification if a particular certification or a document has expired from the supplier. Earlier, when the audit hit, then only they used to collect such documents and prepare it for the audit purpose. But right now, proactively, they can go. Even the supplier is notified about the expiration of the document. Even buyer is notified about that. Supplier deduplication is arrested during the registration itself. It is a classic example wherein the data, basically, when supplier enters the tax registration data or unique number which is already available in the database, system is potentially detect that as a duplicate and reject that supplier before registration. You have an online RFI process now to update the information whenever you want. So you can just simply create a questionnaire, put it to suppliers, and get the information updated. Now, what happened basically? You had a clean supplier repository. You know how many suppliers are registered for every category. That enhanced the supplier participation and competitive bidding. We could if finish this without integration. The implementation timelines were 2 months. Next, a few case studies on robotic process automation. This is a classic example of PR sourcing and PO automation. It is a power generation company in APAC region. They had a 3 separate plant purchases, no visibility into PR to PO process because every plant was managing their own procurement processes. Longer social cycle time, no uniform procurement processes, and local vendors are again the same problem because if you don't have visibility, local vendors or a few vendors get preference. The objective is to get 100% transparency into sourcing process, reduction in sourcing cycle time, and 100% spend under management. So what we implemented is whenever the PR is released in their ERP, that is pushed into this tool. And based on the buyer allocation, based on the commodity, that PR is directed to that respective buyer. The respective buyer, there were templates already designed as per their requirement, which will flip the purchase acquisition into a sourcing template. They used to get a bid online, competitive bidding, and after that, once the supplier and the proposal is selected, automatic PO will be published, and it has some stringent integration with the ERP for budget checking, PO creation, and PR creation, right? And what happened due to this is basically 100% spend was forced to take a e-sourcing route. So you have 100% visibility and transparency maintained into the entire procurement system now. Uh, Due to that, basically, we could achieve average 4% saving across categories by using e-sourcing and e-option. And one more benefit is now end user can see what exactly is happening to the PR he has raised. Earlier, he used to raise a PR and chase manually to the buyers. But right now, with a click of a button, he will come online and take a look at it, whether the PR has been flipped into a sourcing, whether it is awarded, what is the PO number, everything is available online. And we could reduce the sourcing cycle time from 37 days to 15 days. Implementation timelines were 6 months for this project. Now, this is a very interesting case study wherein we automated supplier performance evaluation. So again, engineering company in a APAC region. So this is a problem statement, right? If you don't have there was a basically again they were relying on a more on a quantitative data, not on a qualitative data. So 360-degree evaluation was not possible. And if you're managing high value contracts, even contract performance has to be evaluated regularly. It's very critical if you're managing huge spend and complex buys. So there were 100 plus strategic suppliers to be evaluated regularly. But they attempted a lot of manual systems and processes, but the entire user experience was not that great, and that's why they failed again and again. Right. So there was no consistent supplier performance. Even if that conduct a supplier performance evaluation, those ratings were not easily retrievable or available for purchasing decision making. The objective is to automate evaluation process, target performance evaluation of strategy suppliers. Now the challenge was to auto trigger the supply evaluation campaign. So first we templatized it. So there were specific templates for the specific categories, maybe engineering, IT suppliers, service provider, labor contractor. So different forms were there for a service. And depending on the contract consumption, contract value, that data we integrated into the tool. And based on that, once let's say 10%, there was a milestones of 20% consumption, 25%, 30%, and 50% consumption. On every milestone, they wanted to evaluate the contract performance. And based on that specific supplier, the performance evaluation campaign will launched automatically. So now everybody who is impacted with the supply performance got the questionnaire, they give a feedback online, and this can be managed from your mobile, from your laptop, from anywhere. So 100% supply performance were evaluated, and performance scores are now visible into the supplier database for the end users as well. So we could finish this project within 3 months. Okay. Now, this is very typical to a manufacturing organization. If you are like a sector, this is a white good manufacturer. So if you are into that sector, you will resonate with this case studies, right? Because the BOQs runs into like thousands of the product, and every product has to be sourced from a approved manufacturer or approved vendor list. So depending on the model and depending on the production plan, so every now and then you need to float an inquiry to the approved manufacturer list and get the quotations and get the contracts made. This was a fairly manual and time consuming process. You can imagine that for every product, there is a separate vendor and manufacturer. Literally, buyer has to track that inquiry, get the quotation, make the contract. And here was an opportunity to automate this through robotic process automation. So what we did is we maintained the entire material master and also the approved vendor list or manufacturer list with that material master. So whenever the PR is now raised in ERP, it got integrated back into the tool, and system could read the item master, the approved manufacturer list, and auto trigger these RFP to those approved vendor list or approved manufacturer list. Now, these suppliers are restricted to quote only though to the approved material. So it is not a inquiry to all, but only to the approved. So the impact was we could reduce the sourcing cycle time, online bid comparison and approval process, which is the bottom line impact. And this was a implementation within 3 months. Now, yeah, we'll spend quite a bit of a time here. Now, big data and artificial analysis. Okay, artificial intelligence. So the first case study is where we helped organization in inventory data categorization. The problem statement was that it was a commercial laundry service provider. That means they used to deploy those machines and maintain those machines. So the spare part inventory were spread across the country in a different warehouses, and also they had a mobile vans to carry those spare parts. But during the course of a time, lot of duplicate SKUs has been created, and the model changed and everything. So if you're from a manufacturing organization, you'll understand. For every passing time, there is a, lot of duplicate items get created, and to eliminate that, Humanly, it is not possible because literally you cannot read the data. You have to go through the description of every item and find out whether it is a duplicate item, because the description say 8 mm screw 10 mm long, or then basically, or round head, or in the same material in the second SKU it will say round head 8 mm screw with 10. So both are differently coded but the same exact same material. So the challenge was basically we need to understand the entire thing and basically categorize the inventory. We used a AI based tool which basically helped us analyze this descriptive item descriptions, read that, and identified which are the similar items to club it together. So we identified around unique categories 128, and only 25 categories were considered 80% of the spend. We grouped same or similar but described differently material, and that will help them basically to reduce the inventory size right from 45 million, because they could use this material now with the different warehouses, right? Clear cut visibility was established there, and this is basically purely application of data analysis and artificial intelligence. Now the second part basically again item master cleanup, very simple case, but the thing is how it is achieved is once you start reading the data, right? Artificial intelligence tool, how they help you analyze the unstructured data. This is a great example. If you are reading a item description, then the AI tool breaks into different attributes. For example, dimension, weight, length, width, model number, color, etc. So these are the different attributes, and any description will be broken into that and stored into those attributes. Again, second thing what it does is it will go onto the web and try to find out similar information on those based on those attributes. So your data becomes enriched now. Now it is easier for the tool now, they, because it is a clearly attribute based, they can compare attribute to attribute and find out the product, similar product or different product or a brand item. So again, with the AI tool, generally, if you take this exercise manually, it will take months. But with the AI tool, the turnaround time was just 10 days. I hope, I think I have made it very, very simple and how it is applicable in your day-to-day procurement processes. So these were the case studies. Now, the last part, this is the last slide of my presentation. What it takes basically to implement successfully these procurement digitization initiatives. First of all, there has to be a commitment from your management. Second, this is not a one-time exercise, because that is the mistake I think most of the organization make. They give us a one-time budget, and after that they will see. Because the thing is, right now, if you observe, the technology is changing every now and then, right? So you need to modify your also your business requirement is also changing. For example, pre-COVID and post-COVID, the way you manage your processes or procurement processes are completely different, and you need to be flexible to adapt to the situation. And that's why you need to have a long-term vision, prepare a digitization roadmap. You can go from a phase-wise. You can target e-sourcing processes, P2P, robotic process automation like PRP automation, post-PO collaboration. And the key to success is the user experience, right? Because earlier you had a great tool and you implemented that, but if the user adoption is poor, no tool can be successful. So please focus on user experience, enhancing user experience so that user are engaged and using it actively. Now, the third is basically technology partnership. Based on, I think we have spoken enough about how these tools can impact your processes. So, based on your requirement, you need to choose the areas of digitization, which tool can be scalable to based on your region, which tool can be scalable. and what is the technology partnership who is going to implement it. These are very crucial factors in successful implementation. So the whole attempt of this presentation was to just give simplify what the digitization of procurement is, and give you an insight about what is the current trend and how globally organizations are getting benefited from this digitization. I'm sure, I think every organization is going to look forward for digitization in this year because this is a high time, and currently the supply chain are getting disruptive because of COVID situation every now and then, and people are forced to work from home, and without digitization now that is not possible. So with that, I will stop my presentation. I think we have 15 minutes now for question answer session. So Chirag, can we move on to question answer?
GB, so sorry, GB. I'll take first before Chirag. So thank you very much, Chirag, for that very insightful presentation. I know everyone has their questions, but I'm giving you at least 30 seconds up to 1 minute to finalize all your questions, and then I'll turn over the control to Chirag to facilitate the question and answer. So guys, everyone all over the world who is participating with this webinar, ready your questions because this is the time that we can ask our facilitator.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Gourish, for such an insightful presentation and covering almost all case studies of vendor management, PR to PO creation, ERP integration, as well as vendor performance evolution. So it's a quite comprehensive list. People are already asking questions in chat box, and Dennis has already asked them to make a list. Let's make it bit interactive and let's people ask to question one by one by raising hand. So it will be very easy for us. I do have already 3 to 4 questions available as I have checked during this webinar from the chat box. Just hold on. The first question was from Yogesh: how blockchain will help in SCM, which is bit generic one. So you have already covered things in a detailed manner for this. So let's drop it. The second question is in PR sourcing, PO automation, is PR update or change is feasible at once RFX is initiated? This is from Rohit Sharma.
Yeah, I think it depends basically which tool you are using, but those changes should be feasible either by editing the existing event or creating a new round of RFPs, if that is the question. And these are practical business scenarios, right? So the PR keeps on changing based on your budget allocations or some specific changes, specification changes, etc.
Yes. Now anyone who wants to ask question directly can unmute and ask question one by one. You can put your video on mode so we can see all beautiful and handsome people.
Yeah, hello.
Sorry.
Good evening.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Hi,
Yeah.
Pankaj.
I
Go ahead.
I just wrote it that I am interested more in that master data cleanup, and we have 150,000. That's okay, but then there is always a specification attached to that any
Correct.
part number, like what you have suggested a screw, or that description. Yes. So what we have done here is we have used a noun code. So anything starts with a noun code. So noun code is the first description, and without noun code, it is not given. But then even then engineering industry I'm from, so you need to have a look up at your specification, like global you say, but then what is go 3 4 is correct, but then there is a light difference between specification and project to
Right.
project.
Correct.
So your experience on that.
Yeah, so the thing is, that's what basically, if you take it doing it manually, you'll need subject matter experts and lot of time to analyze that.
Correct.
So that's why basically the mechanism these AI tools use it, they break down into different attributes. Let's say, or as you said, basically, there might be a model number, weight, material type. So attributes can be 15, 20, depending on your, and once you, so basically the description is broken into these attributes, and then basically attributes to attribute, it compares with your existing database. And if you want them to reorganize that in a specific format, as you said, basically it should start with a non-code description first and then specifications. That is also possible. And without, I think AI tool, if you do it manually, and that's why basically nobody does that, right, Pankaj?
Yeah, correct.
You take this initiative, it is such a pain in the neck, then basically you drop that. You always try to do, you want to do always this cleanup and everything. But these are the tools right nowadays with the AI technology, really make your life comfortable, and 100% the cleanup is possible and manageable within
Okay.
stipulated time,
That's great.
short time.
Yeah, that's good.
Next.
Thanks.
Good evening, Gaurish. This is Arun. Thanks for your presentation. This is extraordinary and detailed presentation, and
Thank
really
you,
thank
Arul.
you so much for that. And I just want to have some suggestions, idea about digitalization in warehouse management system.
Warehouse management systems.
Yeah.
So what is the pain point here? Basically, you want completely automizing or visibility into that. What is the pain point you're talking about? Because there are a
No,
lot of tools available already in the market.
yeah. So from receipt to GRN process.
Yeah, receipt to GRN process. So I think the first process they are targeting is advanced shipping notification, and after that, basically your gate entries and everything. So you need to go for a post PO collaboration with the vendors to get the advance notification, and after that, communicating that progress on your receipts in real time to the suppliers. If there is a quality issue or rejection, basically that needs to be highlighted back to the suppliers, because that communication takes a lot of time. But if you are digitizing the entire process and the communication is completely online, then it becomes easier on that.
Next.
Okay. Thanks, Gaurish.
Yes, Mr. Sumit.
Gourish, great presentation. I really enjoyed it, every
Thank
minute
you,
of it.
sir. Thank you, sir.
My question to you is that when you talk about the contract repository, okay, how does it support the e-auction process? So when I say that it should support, my question, does it support the e-auction? B, what is the privacy issue for the suppliers if it supports the e-auction? So while they bid for a particular contract on the e-auction portal, because since it's a software which enables and gets the contracts into its being, what I've understood, correct me, my understanding is right or wrong, and it also entails about the suppliers getting on board and suppliers getting the supplier data is at a repository level. So my first question, again I repeat, that does it support e-auction, and if it does, then what is the stage of the privacy of the suppliers while bidding for an e-auction?
Sumit, there are two type of solutions available into the market now. One is basically wherein there is a supplier network, and through that they participate. And few solution offer you a private cloud. That means the website is deployed only for that particular organization, and supplier has to log in only for that into those sites in order to participate. So, and you control all the three environments like development, acceptance, and production. So there is no public network which is getting integrated to that. So it is completely secure and a private cloud place. So if you ask them to participate in the e-auction, only suppliers who you have invited in
Yeah.
your login and you have granted the login to them, then only they will be able to participate into that. And
So
Again, I'm talking about e-auction to contracting. Basically, the process can be automated. Okay, so you get those quotations or negotiated through that, and basically contract redlining and everything, and after that contract get published. Potentially, we have integrated back to the ERPs also. So you draft a contract based on the e-negotiation. You draft a contract, and it creates a OA or outline agreement into your ERP. So I think currently, if you observe, those solutions are pretty much available in the market with all these securities and flexibility you want.
Okay, fine. I'll just take another point over here, just to add another question over here. When you talk about the supplier, the third aspect of the vendor supplier, the rating system. So you mentioned that in a point that every department or every function would have a different metric to measure. Is that correct? What I'm hearing, or it is a constant or a standard basic metric to measure for the entire organization, integrating all the departments. Let's say A, B, C, D. I'm just talking in a hearsay term, or to be specific, it's a QBIS, what we talk about the supplier grading, quality, value, innovation, service. So when I say that, so does it follow a standard metric to measure for all the departments, or it just works on a very individual level, department to department?
Yeah. So Sumit, if you observe the trend, people tend to basically have a same metrics across the categories and across the vendors. So you cannot have the same yardsticks to measure IT vendor performance versus your direct material performance versus your direct labor performance, right?
Yeah.
So that has to be different. But currently, that's what I said. If you don't have a tool, you will be relying on only quantitative data, which is available in your ERP. And you tend to basically, and what quantitative data is available in ERP? It is your delivery, it is your invoices, and purchase order.
Yeah.
So whether you like it or not, you'll be forced to again go into that matrix because lack of processes and the tools.
Yeah. I agree with you here. Like, you see, in a metric to measure. Anyways, this is a little lengthy conversation. I'll leave the forum for now. Thanks so much for answering my questions. I appreciate that. All right.
Thanks, Sumit. Anyone else?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Anil.
I'm from HSC side, and since we are live on YouTube, so there are a couple of questions there as well. So I'll be reading out the question by Sabishwar Goswami. He has asked that digitalization has the general perspective of having high cost. So what are the steps from which we can
I'm not able to hear you clearly. Chira, can you help me just understand this question?
Yes. Henal, I am just reading it out. Just give me a second. Sarveshwar has asked, digitization has general perception of having high cost. With wide use post-pandemic, there any chance to make it more cost-effective? Your views, please.
Okay, whether you like it or not, now that is the way of life, right? So yeah, initially it is but the thing is, you need to choose your initiatives, right? Because I given that roadmap, right? High impact, low impact, whether it is if you go on an integration or a high integration side, the cost bumps up. But there are depending on your pain point and what exactly you want to automate it, you need to take that initiative. Again, it is a long-term journey. You need to just now it has to be in your policies to keep your expenditure going for digitization every now and then, because the technology will change. Yeah, the perception is that it is a time cost high on the cost, but you choose those initiatives, right? You go for a sourcing first, you generate savings out of that and reinvest that into other initiatives of your digital procurement. So you choose your digital journey based on your priorities.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but ultimately our objective is to cost reduction.
Correct.
For the, right?
So if I were you, I will go with the e-sourcing first, get the cost down by e-sourcing and e-auctions possible.
So once we receive a break-even point,
correct, and take that savings and reinvest into my other initiative.
Right.
In the chat box also there are a few questions.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
there are
somebody
few
is
questions
responding.
on YouTube also. There are questions. The second one is, what are your views on e-procurement solution replacing ERP systems? When do you think this might happen?
No, ERP basically concentrates more on other business processes like accounting, HR, production planning, forecasting. There are a lot of other processes basically which get integrated into ERP. But ERP for ERP, procurement is not a priority. That's why the other tools have evolved. So I don't think basically these other tools may give you a feeling that there are few ERP overlaps happening because you may choose for few modules and but it will not replace ERP. And the moment it replaces ERP, it becomes itself becomes a ERP then.
Yes. Next one is, sir, is there any module to digitally approve and sign purchase orders in ERP?
Yes, it does. Yeah,
And
I think you potentially can integrate with digital signature service providers like DocuSign, Adobe, and use that for digitally signing those. But depends on is the country approving that digitally signing or it still. So depending on your policies, basically, yeah, those tools are available. So the future is already here. You just need to look for the right tool.
right. One more is, would like to know the options available and challenges in automating PR to PO and follow-up review of
That is
supply
not a
chain
question.
planning. It's a yes, that's the view. But they are saying that what is the challenges in PR to PO that
The
I
challenge
shot
is
already covered during this talk.
So the next question by Paresh Satasya is, which are the online platforms where we can conduct online evaluation of suppliers?
uh, online evaluation. I think you're talking about the ratings of suppliers, Dun and Bradstreet, EcoVadis, Economies. I think there are a lot of platforms nowadays providing this information, but I would basically raise a caution here. If you are in India, this is a completely unorganized market. You don't have very reliable platforms to go for it, right? If in US, then basically Dun and Bradstreet is basically popular in US and Europe. EcoIdeas basically very powerful for non-financial ratings in Europe. So there are a lot of platforms available. I think you need to choose
You might
based
be
on your.
asking about any cloud-based solutions available.
You're talking about performance, conducting performance evaluation. Then yeah, a lot of platforms are available. Reba, Coupa, iValua, likewise.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think I think somebody raised an hand now.
Yeah. Peria Samia.
Hi, Chirag. Thanks
Yeah.
to Chirag for organizing this, and Gourish. It was a fantastic presentation.
Thank
Though
you,
I
thank you.
have
Thank you.
a lot of experience, this digitization is taking us by surprise. What simple things can be done in a very simplest form. What
I think
complicated?
that's the reason. Basically, I wanted to give a very simple presentation so that everybody understand. Otherwise, people are getting petrified with those terms, right? Automation, AI, and everybody uses this nowadays. All the salesperson are trying to use that, basically forcing you to buy this product. Sir, what is your
Absolutely.
question? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. That is word digitization, for us as a manufacturing professional, it took some months to understand. Now we have better clarity. I think your presentation.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, in fact, I was actually more interested on this, PR to PO. Okay, my question was a bit generic, but today we spend a lot of resources, a lot of efforts, in terms of lining up the material. It is pre-COVID and as well as post-COVID, it has got worsened out. So, what AI can, bring in terms of, eradicating this follow-up, inefficiencies today we are doing in supply chain. Maybe in terms of, in terms of interacting or sending out a follow-up with the suppliers. Can
Yeah.
we entirely automate this particular process? One, and secondly, can we have some alarms, intimating the concerns where we are kind of predicting situation? Today we do not
Correct.
know. For example, next week I do not know what is going to happen on Wednesday. So
Exactly, exactly.
possible.
So I think that's what I talked about supplier risk factor. That's the number one priority for all the procurement fraternity globally now. Because with this pandemic, you don't know that this supply chain is getting disturbed like anything, right? So here, I think the best part is basically you need to follow the rating and how you can create the supply risk profiles, either by conducting an RFI yourself, the situation at their end, and trying to read that data, or rely on third-party data just like Dun and Bradstreets and Equivarius, and try to give them a risk rating. Number one, so that will basically give, and these data has to be real time available to you in order to make those purchasing decision like PR to PO decision. Because if you don't know this data, the performance, the risk ratings, and everything, and still you issue a PO, you'll be in a big trouble. So the whole problem is right now also you have that information, but this information is not available to the end you the procurement wise as and when required. That's what I was focusing more on, supplier information management and updating that regularly, right? And that is missing completely in the most of the organization. You get that as a matter of compliance, but how many times you revisit that information, revalidate information? Is the information available online? Can you just go and take the certificate? The certificate might have expired 3 months back. That is a huge use to your business. You need to basically go step by step, understand where is the gap, and try to bridge the gap. PRPO automation in manufacturing is definitely possible, but again, right now the priority should be basically getting the supplier risk profiles accurately managed and getting that information out for making the procurement decisions. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely. I think there is always a percentage of bias goes in or a human error which goes in when we are doing this supply inspecting manually. I think by automating it or understanding
And
the
manually, you
whole
see,
data, it can be better and it will for
manually,
sure
you
help
see,
in
the
decision making.
manual problem is that you want to get rid of the process. You want to just finish the job.
Absolutely. For the
You
audit
really
purpose.
don't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody puts hearts and soul into supplier performance rating. No one do that. So that's why basically they go again with the qualitative rating, which is not accurate, which doesn't give you 360-degree, right? So that is important
Absolutely.
basically to fix
Thank
that.
you, Gourish. And it's a fantastic session again. Thank you very much for all the efforts.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? I think now there are no more questions. Thank you everyone for joining in.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone. Thank you
good
for taking out
weekend
the time
and do follow us for more such insightful sessions.
Yeah.
Bye bye. Good day.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
We are signing.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Signing off from
Thank you, everyone.